Aloha, everybody. This is Urotherapy Training Course number 29. Wow, I've done almost 30 of these. 29-1, and we're going to get started here. These are the only students we have at the moment. If anybody somehow joins us, cool. If not, I put this out there that anybody could monitor any of the other classes. So if somebody else wants to add themselves into the second or the rest of the series, they just have to let me know.
Sounds good.
All right, so to honor this water, which honors us every time we contemplate it, look at it, connect with it, and return it to our body, we get the health and the blessings from it. So there's a little prayer that's in my first book, The Healing Water from Within, in case you hadn't seen this cover before. There's a book, all right, there's the book, and it's called The Sacred Water Prayer. Now, how we're going to do this, are you familiar, Keegan, with kirtan?
I am not.
With chanting with groups?
I don't think I've done it before.
All right. Well, kirtan is basically chanting devotional music to the divine. It's usually done in a group, and there's musicians who have a drum, harmonium, a tabla, whatever. And so here's how it works. The caller says the line, the responder repeats the line.
Oh, it's a call and response. Okay, that I'm familiar with.
I could have saved time if you'd have just said that. All right. I tell you, we learn as we go in this life. All right, here we go. It's the Native American Sacred Water Prayer. I take this water of life.
I take this water of life.
I declare it the water of light.
I declare it the water of light.
As I bring this water within this body,
as I bring this water within this body,
it allows me to glow.
It allows me to glow.
I take this water of light.
I take this water of light.
I declare it the water of God.
I declare it the water of God.
You can say creator, source energy, whatever you like. I am the master of all I do and all that I am.
I am the master of all that I do and all that I am.
So be it.
So be it.
May all beings be happy and free. Here we go. So before we get going and you get me caught up with your journey or any questions you have about class, let me show you just a collection of books that you may be aware of. You may not be aware of, but they're just nice to have around. All right, the book that was my Bible is The Golden Fountain. Owen van der Kroon, Holland, 1994. He's put out a new cover since then. Okay. And that book goes in a whole lot of detail.
I'm pretty sure I have PDFs of pretty much all the books.
Okay. If not, they're out there. Dr. Group has kindly put a lot of PDFs on his urotherapy research site. OMAD, is this backwards or forwards? Okay.
It's forwards.
All right, this is OMAD Orin looping. Do you know what OMAD means?
1 meal a day.
Perfect. He's not a doctor. He forgot to put a dot. He's David. So this is David's book on fasting, doing Orin therapy, and 1 meal a day. I'm ready. Martin Laura, 1994.
Seen that one?
All right. 35 years, 40 years later, he's still teaching. He lives out in New Jersey.
Wow.
Yep. Now, this was the original cover of my manual for urine therapy teachers. You recognize these guys?
Shiva and starts with a P. I just read it in your book.
Pavarti.
Pavarti, yes.
You could have said P-Varti, and I would have got the settled joke there. All right. As of earlier this year, Amazon approached me and said that I didn't have the legal right to use that cover because I didn't have copyright protection, whatever it is. So my publisher went out and we found this one and we paid the guy so we could be left alone. So now we cover of the book.
Beautiful.
And in this one, she's not hiding her Shivambu cup.
Oh.
Yeah. And no telling what's in his container. So we're going to talk about how they brought this out to the world when we get into the history. What else we got going here? Second edition of my book came out last year, 2023. So this is more the most current information research and so forth. And as a matter of fact, the original book is no longer in print since we moved into second edition.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I'll have to order some when I figure out the shipping, how to get it up here.
Yeah, no problemo. So my books are in different languages. French.
Oh, beautiful.
What else we got going? Spanish.
Huh?
It's also out in German, Japanese, Portuguese, and right now about to be published in Hindi.
Oh, wow.
So if you know any one of 300 million Hindi speakers, you can tell them about the book.
Not yet, but I will.
You will. I brought out the handbook of healing water from within in 2020 so that people could get a thinned down version copy and just give them away.
Oh, nice.
Because that was an idea. In the meantime, well, you live a bit far away, but I've got about 175 of these that I've been giving. I've been giving away about 100 of them so far for people in the United States. All they're doing is paying for the shipping. So it'd be nice to swing a deal for you, but we'll see. This is The Secrets of Youthing, which is the book that actually influenced me to start doing urine therapy. This is from my mentor, Leonard Orr. He passed away in 2019, but this book came out in 1994. Since it went out of print, his wife let me revise it, edit it, and bring it back to life.
Beautiful. I was doing some research on him in the rebirthing programs that he does. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, he lived to be 94, and he kept teaching people, and he brought me the understanding and stuck with me is physical immortality.
Yes, I've done a lot of research into that as well.
Well, out of class, I'll talk to you about that anytime.
All right.
I was on Justin Carpenter. We did an interview on his show talking about the same subject. So the last book is the joke book, which is a whole new language, and people are having fun. This is the Piscabulary of Urinisms. So we're going to talk about this. There's two components that make urine therapy work better than just, the application. And we're going to talk about them. We might as well jump into the first one. Because let me just say what the two things are that make this outstanding, that works, even if people have resistance, really going all in with, everything they got is faith and a sense of humor. So we're gonna talk about these things, because if you got faith and you can laugh at something that looks controversial, but it's the best thing going, you'll make it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before we get into that, do you have any questions you want me to, so you don't lose the questions? Questions, something we might want to review or you need an answer from?
Not right away. I mean, there's just a couple things I was jotting down as I was reading through the manual, but I'm sure we'll get to those. So.
Okay. Well, I got all these things out here. I might as well show them to you. When we get into the protocols,
Mm-hmm.
there are accessories, appliances, equipment, whatever you want, supplies that makes this even easier. Now, some of these, Keegan, you probably already have. For example,
Yep.
back up.
Yep.
Okay, done. And my bag.
I've got a bucket, but yep.
Bag. Okay. For foot soaks.
Yep.
Oh,
Sitting back over there on my I don't know, whatever thing that
I
is.
love you.
Shelf.
You are not a novice whatsoever.
No, okay, so I'll actually tell you, so before I was trying to gather all my supplies before we moved, because I was like, well, I don't know, shipping, how to get stuff here yet. So I actually bought one of those, the ice bath tubs. And I have it sitting actually right outside my door, and I sit in there every morning and I do my meditations in my Orin bath. So
wow. That leads to all kinds of conversations because we got people out there have figured a way that they can get a redwood container, put it in their backyard, fill it up with Orin, run a tube out of the top of it. It goes into these coils where there's a fire
Oh.
burning inside the coils. It heats up the Orin, and at the bottom tube, it runs it back into the redwood tub, and they're laying in hot, hot Orin that has not needed plumbing or electricity.
Oh, yes, awesome. I'm gonna have to do some more research into that because as we're like doing our home build, I want to have like a kind of an outdoor bathroom kind of area where I can create, ideally I'd like a copper tub. But figuring out how to do something like that where it's, I have a nice little Orin sanctuary out there.
Yeah, yeah, in a spa.
Yes, yes.
Surely, somewhere in Costa Rica, you're going to find someone who's a coppersmith who can build you one.
Oh, I'm on the lookout.
That's sweet. All right. Next we have
Got one of those. I bought
any
a yellow
yellow one. Okay.
one. Yep.
People just say, "Oh, it looks like Aladdin's lamp." You can.
Yes. No, but I have one of the I have like a big syringe also. Yep.
Okay. These are for implants.
Mhm.
You can use it either like a Basti, an implant in the rectum, or you can squeeze it up the nose or in the ear, whatever you want.
Mhm.
Okay. This guy is the Nasoline, and they sell them for ear rinses. But what I do is we're using this to teach people how to access the pineal gland, crossing over the blood-brain barrier. So this
Yep.
is a way for people to get this into their brain and into their sinuses without having to think about having to coordinate drinking out of a glass, a cup, a bottle.
Mhm.
It holds 60 milliliters. You pull the plunge, aim at your nose, and let it rip.
Yep. I've got the little sprayers too.
Bears. Oh, okay. So they're like this.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I recommend these two versions. One's a
Yep.
spray pump. One's just a spray top.
Got a whole bunch of them.
Good. Get in the habit if you can, Keegan. It's a great name. Keep them in your car, your glove box, your backpack, your hip pack, your purse, bathroom, wherever you go, because this is your go-to first aid.
Mhm. Mhm.
If anything happens, pull out the magic water. You're good.
Yep.
All right. This is a
So I don't have a handheld one. I have a like one of the actual like machine ones that I have. I haven't used it recently, but I have used it once or twice.
okay.
So
Typical diffusers were used for essential oil, for distributing essential oils and diffusing them, but this little puppy is a handheld mesh nebulizer because it converts it into vapor. I don't have a brand name, so please don't ask me. But all these items we sell on the ShivaLifestyle.com store. We've got the one-stop shopping store for the whole worldwide community. And these are all Amazon products. So wherever Amazon ships, you can have it shipped. All right.
I actually have a like a face steamer, like a nanosonic, whatever they call it, face steamer that I do like half, yeah, I do like half water and half Orin. And as I'm like steaming my face to clean it, I'm like breathing it all in too.
So this guy comes with either an adult, this is the nose, mouth, face. You can either come the adult version or the child version
Mm.
if you got the little ones.
Yep.
Do you have any little ones?
I actually have 6 kids.
You have plenty.
Yep. My oldest is 20 and my youngest is 3. So
Okay. We're almost done showing you everything. The eye cup is great for one eye at a time.
mhm.
But if
Actually, I have 2 of them.
you have, oh my God, have you been to India?
No, not yet.
Guys are doing videos and they're holding them up with one hand. They're doing two at once. However, anyway, this is the bump up. This is the next level. Is swimming goggles, and A lot of people have swimming goggles, so you just fill her up and put the suction around your eyelids. I mean, your eye sockets. Okay. If you're on the go, whether you're a gal or a guy, and doesn't seem to be any place where you can release your golden water, this company I work with is called P Sport, and they have this expandable P cup that has a perfect funnel for women, and they have women demonstrating it. And then when you're done, you collapse it or drink or store it when you're ready to drink.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's called the P cup. The other one, which came out before that, is called the Hideaway, and it looks like a small little spaceship.
Love it.
Right? And then you open it up, and this little 1-inch thing, which can go anywhere, you can put it in your pants, in your pocket, your wherever. This goes up to hold 23 ounces.
Oh, nice. So you just got to get one that's got the same kind of spout on the top there.
Now this was an earlier model. The new ones, they have a thing that pops up so you can drink right out of the top.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so that's called the Hideaway. And what's left here? Oh, we got a few more items. Do you have a bath or a shower?
We have all showers here so far.
Okay, so you're not really able to do a bath yet.
Well, no, I have the ice bathtub that I use.
Okay. These are pivotal in my everyday practice. Is that this is on the ledge in the bathtub. So when the bath is filling up, or if you take a shower, you can either spray it on everywhere you want to spray it on, or you could take off the lid, pour it in your hands, and then you can massage it wherever you want to, eyes, nose, ears, and knock
Mhm.
out 6 or 7 protocols while you're in there.
I actually have two spray bottles right next to my shower. One is just straight Orin that I use for face wash and whatnot, and the other one is like half Orin, half beauty water out of the Kangen water machines that I normally use for my hair and whatnot. So
This is like, it's so much fun. Like, who else can you like goof around with this kind of stuff?
not anybody that I know personally.
You do now.
I don't have one of those yet.
All right, you know what they are?
Tongue cleaners.
Tongue cleaners, tongue scrapers. Yes. One's a metal one with the little teeth ridges, and the other one is the plastic version. This doesn't have the ridges, but you just, we'll get to that in the class. pH strips.
Nope, don't have any of those.
Okay. When you get them, see if you can get the ones we have them at the store up to 14 pH. Because most of the ones you see at the stores, the health food stores, and even the internet are only up to 8.
Okay.
All right. When you get into the evolving Orin, you know what that word means, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get into the evolving Orin and you've had it for 1 to 3 to 5 to 8 to 10 years, and you check the pH, don't be surprised if it's 13 or higher.
Okay.
All right. My fresh average is about 8.0. So I'm glad to be there. 2 more items. Things you want to have all the time. Cotton balls.
Yep.
All right. You can figure that one out. Q-tips.
Got them.
Okay. Okay, this is the fun one. I had to save this one for last. As you can tell, I educate with comedy. It seems to be part of my shtick. So when you go to the store, look at things differently. This is how I found a lot of these items before these protocols were figured. I just go to walking in and out of the store and go, maybe it's used for that, but I can see it used for like maybe putting Orin in your head and helping out your hair, and for brain injuries and people with Alzheimer's, right?
Good point. Good point. I have a very nice large swim cap that I could probably use for that.
Perfect. And if you have several of these, you can put them on your hands for mobile hand soaking, or on your feet, kind of like surgeons have those, booties.
Yep.
All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Beautiful.
So glad now you know everything about that. Do you want to ask a question, or you want to go right into the class?
Let's dive right in.
I read in. Okay, let's go to page 11. You don't have it. Well, yours is in PDF version.
Yeah, and I really I reformatted everything so it has no page numbers.
Okay, just know that it may not line up with where the chapters and the pages are in this book,
Mhm.
but we'll figure it out. This is chapter 3, how faith or trust plays a role in urine therapy. Now, this guy from India, he thought that this was the best thing going, and it's from God. He described Orin as a divine, powerful medicine, shown to be a sure cure of all diseases. Its prowess is indestructible. Now, I might be cutting some of these paragraphs down in size because we got a lot of material to cover.
Mhm.
Even the researchers are slowly and improving the sterile qualities of urine therapy. All these opinions and verdicts are good eye openers. Without questions, concerns, or fears about getting healthier or better, you know that Shivambu is healing you, or perhaps it's already healed you. It's the perfect elixir arriving in the most perfect timing when you need it. Faith clears obstructions, inflammation, toxins, pathogens, as these are being cleansed and released permanently from the body. Faith reminds you that you will never have to buy or use supplements or medications because it's all in the water. Now, that's optional. There are some people in this community have stopped buying supplements. There's others who still feel so, you know, entangled in it. They keep buying the supplements, and that's totally okay. You got to find your way in life.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a point where I'm just using up the things that I have. It's like diatomaceous earth, zeolite, charcoal, things like that. And then when they're gone, I'm just gonna be done with it.
Sweet. Faith in Shivambu will guide you to choose living foods, lighter foods, less foods, or no food without resistance or conflict. Let me give you my definition of what is food. I like to look at everything through a metaphysical lens. So, food to qualify as food for a human condition, and this is just my take because I've been doing raw food since the 70s, it has to have the following items in it: minerals, enzymes. Are you writing or just want to wait for the
Yep.
playback video?
I'm notating.
Okay, minerals, enzymes, chlorophyll, water, a strong vitality or life force. That leads us to plants: vegetables, fruit, sprouts, live juices, coconut water, mineral water, or possibly sea mineral, sea plasma from the ocean. So this is what I use as criteria. So when people are telling me, well, I had to go back to eating meat, or I had to do this and I had to do that, I said, does it meet any of these requirements? Let them figure it out.
Yep.
Faith in Shivambu clears the mind so creativity, imagination, and curiosity will reawaken. Of course, not everyone is ready for this leap of faith, which is to begin drinking pee. Instead of obsessing over taste and smell, Orin is a sample of what is flowing through your veins, and any repulsive action or reaction to Orin is a motivation to improve the internal conditions rather than excuse for not using Orin therapy. I had to put that in there because there's been quite a few people that been there, done that. They tried it, they walked away from it, but they didn't get enough information down to understand why it tasted, why it looked, why did it smell, and the different things they needed to correct in their diet and lifestyle to make it better.
Mhm.
You get to the point where it tastes like sweet coconut water nectar, you dialed in your diet right.
Yep. Yep. Working on it.
Yeah. You get fresh coconut water out there?
Yep, we were out at the beach like last week harvesting some coconuts from the trees and cracking them open, and I got some saved in the fridge, so.
Beautiful, beautiful. Moment by moment, faith is steadying and balancing you. Faith is guiding and carrying you while you are navigating the mind through its endless stream of ideas and chatter. Trust in your own living water along with the daily practice utilizing a variety of UT protocols, and you will achieve perfect health, well-being, abundance, and overwhelming feelings of gratitude for life. Our holy water purifies, cleanses, restores, and regenerates every area of our life. Healing yourself or reclaiming your body occurs while the mind and spirit are being realigned or readjusted, thanks to the related nutrients found in orange. So I'm not going to finish that chapter, but you get the idea.
Mhm.
Okay. When you have a conversation, you may already be teaching urine therapy. Are you planning to broaden teaching urine therapy?
Well, I've pretty much only tried teaching it to my family and my friends. Thankfully, my husband and my children are more receptive than my friends have been. But yes, I absolutely plan on expanding that as much as possible.
Okay, good. Because it makes a big difference in people's lives. We've calculated there's up to 500 million people practicing urine therapy in 50 countries.
Wow.
And there's more that we don't know about because not everything is a statistic electronically or written. I've been excited and thrilled since I got to Kauai. I left the mainland a year and a half ago. Has it been a year and a half? Yay! I had to get rid of the insanity. I had to get away from all that. So when I got here, I discovered 5 people who already knew about me and had my books. I'm going, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. And now a year and a half later, I've met 22 people on Kauai that do urine therapy.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I'm going to build a community.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm really hoping because where we're building a home is actually like in an eco villa community. So I'm hoping to connect with more people there and kind of start my own little pee revolution.
You will, you will. I'm on standby if you ever need backup.
Perfect.
Maybe we can do a retreat there or a
Oh,
conference.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's a whole nother conversation. I did a Shivambu retreat in Oceanside, California in 2021, and then 2022 had one in Portland, Oregon.
I heard you saying something in another video not too long ago about Botswana. What's that about?
I'm one of the speakers. It's going to be the end of February.
Oh, wonderful. I'll have to get some more information on that.
Yeah, well, once I get it all dialed in, the organizer has got the venue lined up. He's pulling it all together. He thinks he can get 350 people from several different, nations in Africa to attend.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, they've got at least 200 of them that practice in Botswana and Nigeria. So I'm going, okay, I'll be there.
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, love to meet you there. So, any questions so far?
Nope. Nope. I was reading through that part earlier. I think I got to chapter 6, roughly.
Chapter 6 is good. All right, let's go to what page is that? Page 198? 198. Shivambu is an intuitive elixir. Before we do that, let's go review the wisdom chart. Have you studied it yet?
That wasn't the thing with the, oh, what is it? Meta. I'm not sure. I don't
There's
think
a
I did.
picture of Shiva. It's a yellow paper and it's called a wisdom chart. It highlights the 6 or 7 major points of why this works.
I don't think I saw that.
No problem. We're going to go there now. If I didn't get it to you, just remind me and I'll email it out to you. Let me make a note. Tell my secretary. I'm my secretary. Email
The one
chart.
man show, huh?
Yep, but it's never one man. To Keegan. It takes cooperation and collaboration with a whole lot of people to make it work. And it looks like I'm just one guy sitting in a bedroom, broadcast studio, yoga room, and I've got projects with various people all over the planet, and it's been what a ride. So here's the number one thing on the chart. It's an intuitive medicine. Now, for those who know that the medical industry is a fake, we use the word remedy or elixir or panacea. And what I mean by that is very simple. Instead of having to reach out to a book or to Brother Sage or wherever you think you need to get an answer about when to use it, how to use it, how much to use it, and so forth, you can always count on your inner guidance system known as your intuition. So when your guidance system says, Drink more, trust it, drink more.
Mm-hmm.
Fast on it. Do an enema. Whatever it is your guidance system tells you, that's your intuition. This is why it's an intuitive medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Got it.
I have to point that out because people call me and text me and messenger me all the time. Well, what about this? I said, think it through. I think you can figure it. You got to remember, Keegan, we've been taught to complicate everything. You know, thanks to the medical approach and religion and school system, we complicate the most simplest of things. And this is the most simplest way of self-healing, transformation, and liberation. And it doesn't require dogma or rules or none of that stuff.
Or diagnostics.
Or diagnostics. Guess what? You can't mess this up.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can't go wrong here. All right, number 2. Shivambu alchemizes or transforms anything it touches. You can also throw in the word sterilizes. For example, people will gargle and swoosh and pull in their mouth, and they say, well, Sage, should I spit it out? I said, let me think about that. No. Why? Because it's already sterilized any contaminants or threats that the plasma might have as the body reads it before it gets filtered. That's its process. It got a blueprint. It knows exactly what perfect cells are and what your body's made into. And so what it does, if it picks up something that's a threat, it builds an antibody, throws in more stem cells, and adds more nutrients. And then all you got to do is keep it in your body, return it to your body. So after you gargle with it, what do?
Swallow it.
Swallow. Right. And now the same thing, you got to remember that if people take a bath in it, but they don't have a full bathtub of it, but you put in a gallon of Orin, it's going to sterilize the chlorine and the fluoride and all the city nonsense in the municipal water. Okay. Shivambu is a universal panacea. It works regardless of your considerations. You haven't heard this before. Take this to heart. It works whether you use a man's or a woman's. It works whether you use an adult's or a child's. We got lots of testimonials on all of this. It works whether you use a healthy person, a sick person. It works whether you have one race or another race. It works whether you have a human or an animal, different species. We got all kinds of stories of healing their precious pets.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was a dog, a bird, a cat, a lizard, whatever. We got all kinds of stories of children that were brought back to life because their mom remembered the old ways and shared her urine with their children. We've got stories about people who healed autism, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, cancer, you name it.
I did read some of the, I forget, it was an Indian doctor that was working with patients with multiple sclerosis, and there was one case of like a child that was like nonverbal and like completely dependent on the mother, and then
Right.
they became, I believe they became verbal and like could walk, and yeah, the stories I've read are just phenomenal.
I know. And I do as much crying from these stories as I do celebrating. There was a 19-year-old man who had autism, and his caregiver was a student of mine. She organized an event, and she was feeding him her Orin until he figured out he could do it himself. And I would call to check in, see how his progress is. And what really brought me to tears was I could hear him from the other side of the room going, "Is that Brother Sage?"
Oh.
I mean, here's a guy just, months earlier who had the autism shakes and the whole behavior and couldn't track, couldn't stay present. And all of a sudden he calls out my name. So these are the kind of things that endear you to this work.
Mm-hmm.
Shivambu is an evolutionary or evolving water. The reason I changed the term aged and aging to evolving because most people associate that word. Now, I'm a wordsmith. Guys who writes books, go figure. As a wordsmith, years and years ago, I worked on bringing more empowerment to our human language. So going around saying it's aged urine, it's aging urine, cause a lot of people think, well, maybe it's losing its vitality and its strength. And I go, no, 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 no. The moment you collect it, it's increasing in everything. It's evolving. It's a metaphor for us.
Mhm.
We're evolutionary. So that's why I call it that.
You know, anything about the Philosopher's Stone?
Is this related to Ormus?
Um, well, I maybe. So my understanding of what I've studied about the Philosopher's Stone is the more that it's used, the more powerful it becomes. And I keep coming back to that, you know, when it comes to the Orin therapy is the more that you use it, the more that it evolves, the more powerful it becomes, like whether internally, externally, the whole shebang.
I like it. Or every time we take it, and we release it and we return it, we're doing this loop. We're doing this Mobius strip. We're doing this toroidal field. We're generating more life force, more Shakti. A lot of people in the Hindu urine therapy communities consider this the water of Shiva,
Mm-hmm.
the blood of the Lord. That's why it's called Shivambu,
Mm-hmm.
which means Shiva water. Way cool. The more you go down this rabbit hole, the more you realize this is the most supernatural, the most spiritual, and the most natural thing to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to the Rockefellers in 1917, when they formed the control system of the world, healthcare, you know this stuff, healthcare, education, and so forth. That's when they started demonizing alternative healthcare practices, naturopathy, chiropractic, and urine therapy.
Because they can't make money off of it.
Bingo. All right. There is no such thing as an incurable disease. The only thing you cannot cure is what you believe you cannot cure. That's another lie they told us about. And two more things. Practicing saturation dosing, which is in the book. Did you get to that part yet?
No, I saw the term, but I don't think I.
Saturation dosing is a way to accelerate your process, the healing process and the return to homeostasis. Because when you're adding more of the topicals mixed in with the oral use, then you can go directly into pathways into the organs, like the liver when you do a compress. You can get the liver either directly from the liver, or you can get the liver through the portal vein down in the rectum. And that's why enemas are so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the people doing green coffee enemas, that's one of the reasons they do that.
Oh yes, no, I did one. I do full Orin enemas on a regular basis. So I actually did over the new moon a 36-hour dry fast, and then broke that with an Orin enema and whew, ooh.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
Oh yeah, let me tell you, some of the stuff that comes out, it's like probably too much information at the moment.
Well, you're looking down like me. You're looking into the throne. You're looking down and go, why was I was carrying that?
Yeah, yeah,
This was
exactly.
not asked for. Yeah, I caught that last week and I realized it was time for a parasite cleanse.
Yes, yes. Pretty
Little
much
story.
continually.
I had
But
this little 3-inch white thingamajig in there. I'm going, that ain't fecal matter. That's got a. So
it was definitely a lot bigger than pages.
yeah, yeah, okay. So we'll keep this a decent class. All right, the last and only last thing is on this list is Shivambu is a category all into itself. Which explains why you can't necessarily explain it to the average person because it's so vast in its potential and the depth and the complexity to its nutrients, its ingredients, its history, and all this other stuff. So we do our best to explain it to people. That's why we like to keep it down to like a 3rd grade level. It's your water. It's made for you. Just drink it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to page 11:30, 12:31. Yeah, we'll take a break at 1. Okay. Page 60. Oh, I already talked about it. We can go talk about that some more. Nice. Saturation dosing is page 60. I know if I cover it now, then I won't. Remind me not to cover it when we get into the protocols.
A little easier to find.
It's chapter 7. And it's the section entitled Saturation Dosing with AUT. Now, every now and then, I pass the reading part over to students. So if you ever feel like reading, let me know. If not, I'm good to go.
Oh, here we go. All right.
The practice of increasing the uses of orin is called saturation dosing. The saturation point is an arbitrary attempt to reach orin capacity at its fullest or at its height or limit. Saturation dosing is your best prevention and cure or defense of an illness or a compromised immune system. It gives you a fighting chance to get ahead of any so-called virus, sickness, contamination, or compromise to your health. Saturation dosing is gaining in popularity as a preventative protocol, especially when started before the onset of an illness. Considering that the body is continually regenerating and purifying itself, and remember that point. So when people come up to you, and we're going to talk about this when we get into the general treatment suggestions, that people will come up to you, boy, you got an amazing journey ahead of you if you ever decide to do what I'm doing and get on the public, get in the social media thing. People will come up and say, whatever the name of their condition is, I got cancer, I got diabetes, I got multiple sclerosis, blah, blah, blah. Can urine therapy help? The first thing you want to do is break them free of the identification with the name.
Yes. With you mean like with the name of urine therapy, or with the like compartmentalizing of I have this ailment, I have this ailment?
Exactly. They are identified with the illness by name, which naturally comes with the anxiety and the stress of holding that in their mind and in their thoughts. So the first thing I talk to when I'm with the client is just entertain the possibility that your body's in one of two cycles. It's either regenerating, purifying, detoxing, or it's restoring and rebuilding. That's it. All right. So if you got toxic overload, if you got parasites, if you got heavy chemicals and heavy metals, you're in the purification phase.
That's something that really kind of clicked for me a while ago. It's like, well, we're either degenerating or we're regenerating. Like we're going one way or the other. But back to your point, I kind of wrote something down about that earlier. When it came to the diagnostics is an outdated New Age model that compartmentalizes the bodily systems and invalidates the mind, body, and spirit connection.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm also a writer too, by the way.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's get your manuscript finished. I'm sure you got plenty of ideas that will stream through you and they can easily be turned into a book.
So many.
All right, so let's keep going here. Considering the body is continually doing one of those two sides of the cycle, it's an oxymoron to believe that we could ever reach the point of being full to the max with nutrients from orin. Keep in mind that orin, now, since this book was originally written, I've come through 3 different sources. First, it was NASA in 1970 that put out this document that showed they discovered 3,000 ingredients in human urine. NASA, go figure. And then a decade later, here comes another source. I have to look. It might have been a university. They said there were 4,000 ingredients. And then 3 or 4 years ago, here comes Megan McDonald, a naturopath and student in Canada. She says, oh yeah, here's a university that has discovered 5,661 ingredients in human orin. So every time you take it, it's like drinking a health food store. You get all your superfoods in one beverage. Pretty amazing, huh?
Yes.
So all these nutrients are micronutrient-sized substances, and more have yet to be discovered according to these sources. It would be virtually impossible to determine what is a daily minimum requirement and a serving size for everyone. This is where intuition comes in. When people say, well, how much should I drink every day? I said, as much as you like, and you can't overdo it, because it's so safe and it's so sterile and it's so good for you that you can't have side effects, after effects, ill effects. You don't get sick from it. It might bring up stuff that needs to be cleansed,
Mhm.
but there's nothing to be concerned about. People will ask the question, well, what if I'm on prescription drugs? Can I take it? Or what if I'm doing recreational drugs? Can I take it? I said, well, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to rock their belief systems, just to be on the safe side, give it an hour window on either side of those things you're taking.
Mhm.
So the body doesn't go into, quick, let's make a remedy, let's get it out of there. See, and the reason I say it that way, because the people can't necessarily go cold turkey. They're really nervous about taking what the doctor told them. So it's going to take them some adjustment until they realize, oh, I'm doing just fine. This is why I suggest to people is take a day off from drugs. See what your body can do without it.
Yeah, I think that was one of my questions too. Like, how do you handle when people are already on, either one main medication or just like a slew of pharmaceutical things, and obviously not being a medical doctor, you can't prescribe what to do. So,
I love your air quotes, by the way. Well, what you're going to learn in this section called General Treatment Suggestions is this is how we frame it in our terminology to explain it to people. These are general treatment suggestions. The eye rinse, the nose wash, the gargling, the enemas. These are treatment suggestions. These are not diagnoses. These are not prescriptions. That make sense?
yep.
So you're constantly working with the mind of the client to determine where they're at, how much are they willing to try, how much they're willing to trust, how much willing to change. And the more that people are fully all in with this process, their healing can accelerate. And you're going to hear all kinds of stories. I hear people, this one gal, she reached out to me, she's got breast cancer, blah, 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 blah. A lot of things connect to that. So she took a drink and the next morning she says, I'm feeling better already. I'm not hurting. And I just had my first drink. I said, that's wonderful. You got a ways to go. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So orange therapy is an intuitive medicine or water. So there's the thing about, well, what's a daily serving? How much should you drink? And people will generally they'll aim at the lighter side for some reason. Oh, I had this student, he said, well, I do 4 ounces a day. I said, you're barely got your toe in the water. Come on. So people have to find their level of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, something that I practice, and still I did it this morning, I've been doing this for several years now, is first thing in the morning, drink a whole liter of orange. Right? And you better be by a toilet. Because when it happens, sometimes you'll have waves of 4 or 5 bowel movements while you're sitting on the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole GI tract flush.
Yep.
So if you ever want to try that.
Or there was this guy that I was following, and he's actually kind of the reason I got into this. His name is Tim Yantos, I
Yes.
believe from Germany. If you're
Yes.
familiar with him, yeah. So he has the top down, bottom up. So you drink it and do an enema, and you're flushing everything.
Yeah. Well, he's right. That's Tim. Yeah, he came to our World Urine Therapy conference call either this year or last year.
Oh,
I
awesome!
loved his contributions and his energy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All right. The purpose of saturation dosing is to flood the bloodstream, the body, and the cells with the maximum concentration of vital nutrients in a shorter time than it takes with just 1 glass or serving per day. Now, the fastest way to get in your bloodstream, which we're going to have when we get into the protocols, we're going to talk about that. The fastest way to get it into your bloodstream would be, what do you think that would be? Don't you love pop quizzes in class?
Yeah, I would say either drinking it or putting it directly on your skin. I would lean more towards directly on your skin because it's the largest organ.
The correct answer is injections.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I did. I always kind of forget about that, the injections. It's not something that I've done yet, so
I haven't either. I still not happy with putting a needle in me, but I'm going to get
Mm,
somebody who does those vitamin B and glutathione, vitamin C shots, and have them do it for me.
there you go.
Yeah,
Like you
there's
can get like, centrifuge too, and like I don't know. There was some random research I was doing with that too, and like how to separate the plasma and from your actual like blood and whatnot. But
oh,
I'm very much like I am my own guinea pig, and I will try just about everything on myself to see if it works, and you know.
good. You got a long life ahead of you. That kind of commitment, that kind of exploration, I think you're going to be great. Um, It's been widely held belief in practice that a glass a day meets the average minimum requirement. Why stop there? This may be the case for those UT devotees who have been drinking and applying Orin for many years with the addition of other health practices, like fasting, fruitarianism, raw veganism, enemas, colonics, qigong, tai chi, meditation, sun gazing, OMAD, exercise, daily conscious deep connected breathing, clearing limiting beliefs, getting lots of hugs, conversations that matter, and I added massage, laughter, play, tantra, for those that enjoy Tantra. Committed health enthusiasts who are continually using these protocols have gained an experience and a knowing with AUT that gives them great certainty in its healing power. Those just starting using minimum doses are improving at a snail's pace, playing it safe, often not changing anything about their diet or lifestyle, and experiencing incremental health improvement. Now, when we get to the chapter about mind-body connection, which you've already brought up,
Mhm.
this will explain why when people ask the question, does it work for everybody? I say yes and no. Because if all you're doing is oral consumption, but you don't change your diet, you don't exercise, you're not handling the emotions and having emotional balance, you don't have a connection to source or doing self-nurturing, it's hit or miss.
Mhm.
It's a way of life. It's a way of being, like you're demonstrating. It's your thing.
Indeed.
Education and experience using AUT is a major influence and source of inspiration for the practice and the results. Teachers and authors may not have taught them anything different, so now would be a great time to bring saturation dosing into the conversation with your water buddies. It's also a great time for you and the students to start practicing saturation dosing or increasing what you're doing with Orin therapy until you have a direct experience of this protocol of saturation dosing. Okay? How to get started is really simple. You just start adding stuff.
Hmm.
Put more in your protocols, put more in your practices. Now, on that following page, there's a calendar. And I put this together and I actually had a digital graphics designer make one, but for some reason it didn't take in the community. And it's for people who need structure in order for them to ever do anything. So the idea was to create a coded system. O for oral use, E for enemas, F for foot soak. You get the idea. So you put a code for each protocol on the side of the calendar, and then you pick each day of the week and assign which codes you're going to do on what days. You might fast on Wednesday. A lot of people fast on Sunday. You might do an enema on Thursday and Tuesday. You may do an oral rinse on Monday. You just add it into the calendar until it becomes built in. And you kind of know intuitively what you're going to do every day.
Hmm.
Some people need structure, so that's why we built that.
I write it out of my journal ahead of time, like the things I'm gonna try to incorporate more every day. So
Excellent, excellent. All right, page 32. Research and clinical studies. Does that come up in conversation?
Oh, and I'm talking to my husband about it. Yeah, he's the only one I really talk to right now.
Okay, I'm glad to be on the sideline. The reason I had to put that in there because people are asking, the newbies, the doubters, the naysayers, they come across with all their questions and they want proof. Do you have science? Do you have research? Do you have peer-reviewed articles? Do you have government documentations? And so, yeah, what?
But my question is, do they ask their doctor the same thing before taking the prescriptions that they're prescribed?
No, because we've been trained in our society and in our planet to bend
Mm.
the knee. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
I fired my doctor.
You fired him?
Yep.
Woo, you're free. So, but the quick answer without going totally into this chapter is yes, we've had science, evidence, backing since Martha Christie put out the book, Your Body's Perfect Medicine. She put a lot of that in her book. Thank you. All right, the same with Urine Therapy, the Miracle book by Beatrice Barnett. She's got some in there. John Dunbar Armstrong has some in the Water of Life book. And we're currently on a project with Megan, Dr. Group, and Jonathan Otto and myself. We're working on a project to prove, we're working with University in Canada to confirm that there are stem cells in aged urine and that it has benefit for humans. And so
Oh,
that project's been funded, that project's moving forward. And once the research and the data is ready to share with the world, that baby's going viral.
oh, that is very exciting. I'll have
So
to
anybody
be updated on
says,
that.
oh yeah, is aged urine good for you? Data, we got data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just drink it. All right. So this is what this chapter is all about. I'll read a little bit about it so you get to get a little taste of it. Pun intended. All human, you can tell I love this subject matter. I can just pee myself and you know, it's way cool. I have students that are peeing underneath the camera because they don't want to leave the room. You can see the jar, you can hear the tinkling going on. Funny, funny people. I have friends in Kauai that will pee right next to me. They go, "Oh, it's only you. Don't worry about it." Okay. You get to so relax in this community.
What?
Here's a question.
No idea. No, we didn't bring it. Sorry, my daughter was asking a question about a recipe book. I don't know. It's probably in the shipping container.
Oh, well. Is she listening in or no?
No, no, they're all out there.
Okay,
That's
no
my
problem.
13-year-old daughter. She hasn't jumped on the P train yet. I've gotten everybody else except for my oldest daughter. Yeah, so my two oldest daughters are like,
Okay,
I'll
well,
go.
when we get to the part of the class, hold on a minute. I'm gonna just stretch a second. I have to add pillows to some of these chairs because I don't have much body fat.
Gee, why is that?
Why is that? Fruitarians, go figure. And my friends are overweight. I said, if you want to share some, just rub our butts together. I could use some down here. That would be great.
I started like roughly 2 years ago, but I've lost like 120 pounds. So
Yeah,
yeah,
feel better,
still on
don't it?
still on the journey.
Yeah, your body's probably feeling better by, all
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Congratulations. All human beings have drank their own urine while growing a body in the womb of their mother. And this is a fact you want to remember to bring out to people who are asking you silly questions. Is it a waste problem? Is it this? It is that? You can say, you may not remember this, but for 9 months, you lived in the water world with amniotic fluid and urine. This is what built your beautiful baby body. So this was this is how we got here. This was our origin. And it's interesting how many people remember this.
I've heard stories.
In the natural biological heaven of the human reproductive process, inside the maternal womb is where the formation of our body took place. The first step was the formation of mother cells, the heart, brain, kidneys, bones, basic organs, nerve cells that receive and transmit, and above all, the coordination between sensory organs and the balance of genetic information, cell reproduction, and bioenergetic stimulant. Inside the maternal womb, we are in complete peace, comfort, and harmony, preparing ourselves to come out to a new life in the external world. A human's perfect time on earth may be during the gestation period. Orin therapy is literally a gift from Shiva or God and is a built-in part of our nature. There is no human on earth that has not taken or drank his or her own Orin. In our first 24 to 30 days, we will start peeing into the amniotic fluid. Through the umbilical cord, the baby does receive special nutrients such as immunoglobulin, vitamins, and most of all, oxygen, love, and energy from mother. When the baby reaches the age of 5 months, they urinate 400 to 500 milliliters each day inside the amniotic sac, and between 8 to 9 months, the baby urinates 20 to 30 times every 24 hours. So how do you think someone would react when you say, you know, you drank your urine when you're in your mother's womb, and while that was taking place, it was sterile. So if it was sterile inside that in water world, that environment, why is it not sterile when you're outside of the womb?
Oh, because it's this and yeah, that's lots of reactions, I think, to that.
Yeah, they got their replies down, but it's changing all the time. So when we get to the protocols and we're teaching baby steps, then you'll learn how to share this with your kids. Anybody sitting on the fence, and we can baby step them into it. Thanks to pee getting in their ears, as their hearing develops, babies can hear more than we realize. Babies are bathing their eyes in Orin and observing their water world with eyes open. While using this time to learn how to breathe and use their lungs, babies snort amniotic fluid filled with Orin up their nose. It's thought they can smell food too. We already have been experiencing drinking Orin through the nose from the beginning of our lives and just forgot. Mom getting outside helps a baby's eyes develop and reduce the risk of eye disorders. When you drink or topically apply Orin, you take in your own free auto vaccine. Unlike man-made vaccines, Orin has no side effects, harmful chemicals, or toxic material. In other words, Orin is part of the beginning of life and literally grew up with it. It's built into our nature. It is a wonderful cycle of life which should never be interrupted. Now, here's some very important points to remember. And you see them there?
Nobody can live without water. For that reason, water is a sacred element. Nobody can live without air. For that reason, air is a sacred element. Nobody can live without fire. For that reason, fire, including the sun, is a sacred element. And nobody can live without taking the Orin inside the mother. For that reason, Orin is a sacred element. I wrote a note about plasma and ether and this element. And
yeah. So depending on your approach to this water, it can be the same approach you would approach a supplement or a vitamin, or you can approach it as holy water. This is the water that was built for you, so it had to have that component of the divine or the godliness built into it to do what it does. I always thought, the rebel in me would love to just go down to the Catholic Church and switch out the water, and when they walk in, they dip their fingers in there. We could change the paradigm overnight.
oh yeah. Well, I'm sure they already know about it and they're subduing it, so that's a whole nother discussion.
It is. As a matter of fact, Ayurvedic medicine, the origins of Ayurvedic medicine was Shivambu. And if you ask any Ayurvedic practitioner, Now, most Ayurvedic practitioners in 2024 do not make a habit of introducing it or recommending it to their clients. However, the many of them that I've actually had a chance to talk to and interview admit that urine therapy was the starting impetus or the origin of Ayurvedic medicine.
Hmm.
Maybe it's time to out some of these practitioners.
Mhm.
Okay, where are we? Page 32, take trips. Page 25 to 31. Have we done that one yet? Okay, I'll just read this really quick. We can eventually get into what's in this water. Oh, let's do that. Let's go there. That way I'm not doing the same routine every time. Chapter 4. We get about 27 minutes before we take a break. Chapter 4 is what's the secret sauce? Let's see if we can frame it so it makes sense to you, and I'll explain what I'm about to tell you here. What we're looking at is ultra-filtered blood plasma water. This water is nutrient-dense, mineral-rich, bioavailable, structured, living, distilled, activated water. Are you familiar with those terms?
Yep.
You know what constitutes a structured water?
It's I'm thinking of the Dr. Hashimoto's water pictures, like
Yes, images in water.
yeah, so yeah, like putting it out in the sun is one, sorry, bugs. So like putting it out in the sun is one way to structure water. I know that putting it out in the moonlight is another way to structure water. Um, Putting it through
Wait,
certain types of funnel things is another way to structure water. But and then I learned that, Orin is naturally structured.
okay. So it was Andrew Norton Weber, by the way. You've heard of him yet?
I've heard the name. Don't think I've read any of his stuff though.
Okay, if you go to YouTube, you'll find his channel, Andrew Norton Weber. He may still have the website up, or who's ever running his website is aquariuswaterbearer.com or
Oh, yes. Yeah.
and he states the 4 types of distilled water are water from a distiller, water from the rain or a glacial water, urine, and fruit juice. Now, what constitutes, by the way, distilled water, if people still ask that question, won't it take out minerals from your body? I said, now listen, let's take the word apart, like the word disease, which we've already talked about. Take the word distilled apart, distill, which means to do the opposite of being still. It means to activate.
Hmm.
So to determine if something is structured requires magnification with a microscope to see the crystalline shapes and forms that are present in the water. Do you do Instagram?
Yep.
Check out hashtag messages in urine. This is a student friend of mine, Fiona Gardner. She's got one of those microscopes. She's got one of those electron microscopes, and she's been showing urine crystallization under intense magnification. And you see crosses, you see Merkabas, you see images. I mean, it's incredible. So that's her.
Gosh, that's so cool. I want to have like a lab at some point where I can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you should.
I will.
Yeah, put that on your list.
Oh, it already is.
Did you ever study human design?
I've looked into it. I haven't done a whole lot in it, but yes, that's also on my list of things to study more.
Yeah, find out if you're a projector, a manifestor, a generator, or a
I'm
manifest.
I'm a oh gosh, what was it? I'm a 6-2 generator, that I know.
Generate. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, you make things happen. Awesome. So in this chapter, you get to look at the secret sauce. Now, these ingredients that I've listed here on the next page came from the Golden Fountain. What I did was just include on this list, Keegan, the most commonly known and used nutrients. And so when you study the nutrients and you study what's really in our nectar, our beautiful water here, you'll see why people don't have to go out and buy melatonin, serotonin, oxytocin, DHEA, magnesium, B vitamins, potassium, sodium, on and on it goes, including probiotics and enzymes.
Mhm.
So I'm going to read this list, going to read it kind of quick just so it lands in your head. So when people say, well, I can't sleep, I'm anxious, I'm all strung out, and my adrenal glands feel shattered and broken, I said, well, what would you normally take? Oh, melatonin and serotonin or magnesium. I go, it's in the water. And if you'll notice, if you haven't, how long have you been practicing?
Probably close to a year now.
Okay. Have you noticed that you're calmer through the day?
Yes.
Good. Have you noticed that you're able to respond and not react to things that used to trigger you?
Yes, yes. Working on that
Hallelujah.
day. It can
Hallelujah.
be kind of difficult with kids sometimes, but you know,
It
it's a
can
process.
be. Yeah, in the middle of them like going ballistic, you say, "Excuse me, dear, I just want to take a little drink. I'll be right back." And then they'll finally caught on. That's what that's what chills out my mom. I want to try. I hope it gets to that point.
Yeah, no, we actually have them in their routine. Like in the morning, they're taking like the zeolite and the diatomaceous earth, and then take just a little bit of a pea shot mixed with some orange juice to kind of get them, get them used to the
Mhm.
process of it. So,
Yeah. When you're building a positive association. That's what's the important part.
yep, yep.
The other thing. Okay, so here's the list. This is the shortened version of the list. Adrenaline, alanine, albumin, allotonin, antibodies, amino acids, arginine, ascorbic acid, biocarbonate, by the way, which alkalizes the body. If you start doing sodium bicarbonate, aka baking soda, like a third or a fourth of a teaspoon a day, it helps to alkalize the body. It's a proper form of salt, and it's in your water. Bicarbonate, biotin, calcium, carbonates, chloride, choline, cortisone, creatinine, cysteine, DHEA, dopamine, enzymes, epinephrine, estrogen. Epinephrine is what they use to shoot up people who've had a shock.
Yep.
And it was Andrew Norton Weber who was allergic to wasp stings. And he would go into these shocks that nearly killed him. Then someone said, use urine therapy. And he put some under his tongue and the symptom went away. So he threw away his EpiPen, which, by the way, everyone should throw it away because it converts into adrenochrome. It's a whole nother
Oh,
conversation.
oh yeah. No, we threw those away. And so my husband and my son are like allergic to things. And I keep telling them, I'm like, you're not allergic, just drink your pee.
Mhm. Yeah. And now that a lot of that allergy has been cleared up when you get rid of mucus forming foods.
Hmm. Hmm.
Real helpful. All right, so the list continues all the way to enzymes, epinephrine, estrogen, folic acid, glucose, glutamic acid, glycine, hormones, inositol, inulin, iodine, iron, leucine, lysine, magnesium, manganese, melatonin, metathione, nitrogen, ornithine, oxytocin, pantothenic acid, phenylalanine, which is great for brain function, phosphorus, potassium, progesterone, proteins, riboflavin, selenium, serotonin, stem cells, sulfur, testosterone, thiamine, tryptophan, tyrosine, urea, blah, 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 all the way to zinc.
I feel like you should sing that next time.
Yeah, I might. I've been known to. There's a poem in one of the chapters that I've been known to sing a rap song about.
Oh, wonderful.
So, this is not just teacher-student stuff. This is live entertainment.
To go back to the estrogen, so
Yeah.
I have a friend, and a while ago we were talking about because I'm in the premenopausal stage. I don't believe any of that, but she was talking about, she was asking me, you know, because she knew I was like a health nut. She's like, well, you know, what about like estrogen supplements and like how do I balance when I'm going through menopause and all this kind of stuff. And this was like before I really knew about urine therapy.
Mhm.
And she said, because I was like, oh, well, you know, I'm trying this stuff, and she's like, you know, that has horse pee in it. And now that I like look back on it, I'm like, okay, well, that makes perfect sense.
Mhm. What was she referring to? Because she's right.
Oh gosh, it was just like an estrogen type of cream or something. I would have to go back and look to see what the actual ingredients are in it. I took it for a little while and then I was like, screw this.
If it has the term urea or covered up with their scientific word carbamide, this is how they get it into beauty and skincare products, is they mask the word under the name of carbamide. So if you look under skin, body care, beauty care, and you see carbamide, you'll know. Now, there are two sources where you get the urine to go on such a large scale to be able to put it into that industry. One, pregnant horses,
Oh, pregnant horses. Okay.
the pregnant mares, which is animal abuse to the extent that they have to keep them pregnant because the
Yeah.
urine, the chemistry is ideal at that stage. So they're constantly keeping them pregnant, which is abusive. And then the other source is porta potties.
Yep. Yep. I've heard that one. That's she talks, Christy, Martha Christie talks about that in her book as well.
Yeah,
The
these guys figured a way so that when the guys,
$500 billion a year or some
oh,
number
yeah,
like
they sell it to the agricultural industry and the beauty care industry. And they figured a way so that they have two compartments. One is for seating and the one is for standing. But what nobody figured out until I was watching it, you're standing to, to relieve yourself in the top part, and it doesn't land where the blue dye is in the seat and down in the basin. I'm going, oh,
that.
it's a separate compartment.
Hmm.
That's how they can separate it without having to clean out the other stuff.
Interesting. And somewhere in your book, it said something about postmenopausal nuns also.
Well, they might as well
I
be
was like,
doing
oh,
something.
that's interesting.
They ain't getting none. They might as well, you might as well help out humanity since they ain't getting none. Yeah, that's cows. Okay. So orin is a biofeedback loop. It contains the broken down products of the metabolism of over a trillion cells. These particles carry up-to-date information on the status of the health of each individual cell at any given moment in time. It also contains other products manufactured by the body to counter any ailment. It's the perfect telltale and excellent diagnostic agent. Thus, for example, vitamin A is not normally excreted in the orin, but in patients with cancer and tuberculosis, large quantities of vitamin A are detected. The composition of orin changes from season to season, in fact, moment to moment. Lack of sleep, poor food choices, and an unhealthy eating habit, grief, and happy moments influence the composition of orin.
We are the advanced technology.
That
Hmm.
we are. We're the leading edge.
Hmm.
So when people ask you, why is it this color? Why does it smell that way? Why is ammonia so intense? Why is this and why is that? Well, you read these books, you take classes, and you kind of learn some things. The color could be indicative of dehydration. It could be indicative of what they're eating. It could be indicative of stress. It's not just black and white.
Hmm.
So when I consult with people, you learn how to do this when you get to that chapter, is that you want to find out a whole lot of variables. When people draw conclusions, they haven't seen the various variables that make that happen the way it happens.
Hmm.
And so it's the same with our life. We don't look deeply into our past, our memories, our emotions, or our blind spots. And so I'm constantly, I do deep dives when I work with my clients.
That's awesome.
Time to tell the truth, unravel your belief systems, and make the shift so you can do a quantum healing. Time to get on with life. I'll drink to that. Okay. Mm. Any reason to chug pee? Mm. Anybody outside of this conversation wouldn't have no clue what I'm talking about. You're going to love this community because people can literally, drop their pants and be honest and open and vulnerable with each other. And people talk about things with each other you can't talk about with your family and your partners and your relatives. So it's a safe place and a comfortable place to communicate.
Well, I have to say, thankfully, I have an amazing partner who has been with me on this ride now for, oh my gosh, what, 16 years. And every crazy idea and plan I come up with, he's always along for the ride, which is how we wound up here.
Wonderful. He sounds like a keeper.
He is, absolutely.
Awesome. Was that him who just walked by a while ago?
Yeah, yep, that was Sean.
Hi, John.
Sean.
Sean. Aloha, Sean. All
He's out
right.
with us right now.
Oh, he's out in the back 40.
Yeah.
Doing his thing. All right. Orin becomes cloudy or hazy when left alone for a while. This is because when enzymes in orin change urea to ammonia, orin becomes unstable and strongly alkaline. Therefore, evolving orin may look cloudy. It may look like there's things floating in it, like sediment. Some people think their orin looks like kombucha starting mushroom,
Hmm.
and that's just concentrated stem cells, white blood cells, antibodies, all kinds of stuff. And what I always recommend is stir it up and use it or strain it out if it bothers you.
Mhm.
But there's nothing that's contaminated in there.
Well, and I believe there was something I had heard about. Um, Part of that is actually like if there is any, toxic kind of things in there, it's actually like pulling it down. So like, if you're uncomfortable with it, you do just strain it out and use, the clear stuff, which I have done. So,
Now, the same thing is going to apply when we get to foot soaks because people are going to want to know, can I reuse this water?
mhm.
And you can just strain it out in case something like lint fell off your feet because they're in socks all day or something flew in there. That's the only reason to strain it,
Mhm.
just to be on that side. All right, any questions about, I'm not going to go into the next couple of pages because there are words in there I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. But I had to put them in there because they're something I had to add. You're familiar with allantoin? Allantoin? Or is it allantonin? Allantonin.
Um,
Allantonin.
oh, melatonin. No.
You're familiar with aloe vera?
Oh, yeah.
It's the healing quality of aloe vera.
Oh.
It's also found in beets, comfrey, and wheat sprouts. Allantonin. So this water is antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, antiseptic, antitumoral, anti-cancerous. Maybe it's anti-cabal state. I don't know, but it's your it's your best defense for anything. And I feel since I've been concentrating my attention on this for I don't know how many years and saturating my body and washing once or twice a day, my hair gets darker every time I rub it in my hair. And I have bragging rights because I got dark hair and I'm 70 years old. So let's see 70-year-olds do this. But if you saturate enough, it feels like you put on a pillar, a pillar of protection or the armor of God. Like there's some form of safety net around me all the time because I'm in and out of the public, I'm in and out of community, I'm in and out of all kinds of situations. It's nice to know that nothing is going to hurt you, harm you, infect you, attack you, or take you out unless you let it. And that kind of borderlines on immortality too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we drink the nectar of immortality.
Yes, sir.
There is rumors that when Gandhi was in prison, that's what he fasted on. That when
Oh,
Yeshua went out to the wilderness for 40 days, that's what he lived on. When Buddha was met, that's what he lived on. Saint Germain. A lot of these masters used Orin therapy. It just wasn't written in the books.
uh-huh. I have heard that like monks when they have to like study for so long, and that's like the highest pillar of education. Like it's not revealed to them until they've, met all the spiritual quotas.
Yeah,
So that makes sense. Yeah.
that is on page 40, 43. We're going to get back to that after our break. We kind of started that, but we'll get back to it after the break. Let me check our timing here. All right, question. You have a question.
One of them would be because like I know when I've tried to talk to people about things and they're like, well, what if you have kidney infections and what if you have a UTI or kidney failure? Or if somebody is on dialysis, like can you still do it when you are doing all of those things?
Yeah, yeah. And what happens if you have blood in your bladder or blood in your rectum? What do? You drink it. And I'll explain why. Because it contains the remedy. Now, people will say, well, if this was found in my urine by the doctors have limited understanding of human healing. So all they're using is their education to identify and isolate something, right? Identifying and isolating is a very narrow parameter for being able to understand if it's healthy or harmful to the body. They are not looking to confirm that. They just want to put it into their system by saying, oh, I found aluminum. Oh, I found graphene. Oh, I found, the virus for UTI, whatever it is. That's what they're separating in order to come up with their diagnosis and prescription.
Mm-hmm.
So that we have reports of, I had a client in India, he had gonorrhea and his urine was detected gonorrhea. 4 days later of doing urine therapy, it was over. It was healed. I can't say this guy's name, but he had a bladder infection, bladder cancer, blood coming out in his urine, and he drank it anyway. It was healed.
Wow.
All kinds of stories. So I'm not, what I say, people, is you got to trust, you got to use your intuition. And we have lots of testimonies of people who drank their Orin and applied it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, I have about, I'm sorry.
it actually is, there's a remedy in here.
Yeah, I have heard about in one of the things that I was reading prior, like cancer patients who like he was essentially almost black and thick and then re-ingesting it and then like healed themselves like in 40 days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we have stories like myself and my colleague out in Chicago, Doc Mike Whittord. Um, he, um, he had been practicing something with his clients, and he's been doing urine therapy for 25 years. Well, I started slowly drinking my clients' and students' urine so we can show each other, and we would experiment with the interchanging back and forth, that actually it's not harmful and it's actually beneficial. And so
mhm,
he took it another step. He's had like 50 different tests of his clients' urine, and he had some of them that had cancer, and he drank it anyway. People had all kinds of major, major illnesses, and he proved to them this is not disaster. This is not poison. It's not going to hurt them. And he
mhm,
drank it right in front of them just to prove to them this is not what you think it is.
mhm.
This is a remedy.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, that used to be how they would before they had diagnostic tests. That used to be how doctors would test for certain things, as they would take and taste the patient's urine.
Yeah. Or they could smell it.
Hmm.
This is why dogs are so amazing, because they can smell illness on their humans.
Hmm.
I've heard stories about dogs who knew that their human was about to have an epileptic seizure or it was cancer, and they somehow got emergency
Hmm.
help. Amazing.
Yep.
So I'm going to turn off the recording.
Ideas.
All right, go ahead, Keegan.
I was going to say you said something about retreat centers at one point.
Yes, that's one of the reasons I came to Kauai.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, and remind me when we get to the end of the class what we do in these classes is the last 10 minutes before it's finally over, we turn off the recording and you can talk on any subject, no limits, any subject you want.
All right, I'm down.
And the public will never know we had this talk. So we're on page 40, which is chapter 6. I'll mute my phone so no interrupt us. I can tell when I'm so involved with my phone when I go out with my friends and we do a bonfire on the beach and we leave the phones in the car for 4 hours.
Oh, that's always so nice.
No photos, no selfies, no memories. It's great to be disconnected from the digital world, cyber world.
Yeah, I try to do some tech detoxes here and there. Just grab a book and go sit out on the beach. That's the way to do it.
There you go. Any questions before we go into the whole body mind connection?
Nope,
Is your water bottle copper?
it is. It
Ah,
says it's got the flower of life with an
yeah.
amethyst on it. Yeah. And it says, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop."
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Yeah. So you got the copper energy right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The whole body mind connection way to supercharge AUT, its effectiveness through optimum diet, attitude, emotions, and self-love practices. Now, I'm constantly aware because I'm have a public persona and I'm, discussing things in public all the time. Even with my clients, I'm sensitive of what choices of words and how to frame things. Like if I'm talking to a Christian, I might frame it a little bit differently than if I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
to who's just on a spiritual path. So some people will hear the word spiritual, which is one of the 4 pillars of health: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. If they're polarized by a word, I'll change it to self-nurturing practices.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
But know who you're talking to so you don't, lose a friend. Whoops, I crossed into their wrong belief systems. I didn't say it right.
Yeah.
Why does the urine therapy work for some people and not for everybody? Would you like to venture a guess of why it's not black and it's not just set, you drink it, you're healed? Are there other factors?
The stigma and the mental blocks that go along with it.
Yeah. There's also if they don't change anything.
That as well. Yep.
This is what this
Continuing
whole
to continuing to engage in less than optimal physical health practices.
Now, occasionally you're going to get the, okay, well, I've already had it more than occasion, is you get the people who like to play the little violins. Oh, me, oh, poor me, oh, pity party, right? And no matter how powerful a supplement, a nutrient, or Shivambu is, they still don't feel like it's helping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people get off to getting attention.
And I think there's this is one thing that I've noticed is people also become identified with their diseases and their sicknesses.
Right.
Just a real quick story. I was in a hair salon with my friend, and there was a lady sitting in the chair next to her, and she was going on and on and on and on about all these different things that she had had, but how it almost seemed like it made her feel special in a way because I don't remember what it was, but whatever this thing that was she had, like, it was very rare. Like all the doctors would always come in and gather around and make discussions about things, and it's like that became her sickness was her identity.
Mhm.
And like I had a moment where I was like, wow, like I think that there's so many people that are like that, and it was just a really like awakening kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, what we say, what people say in the psychotherapy world is they're either wanting to get off it, which means to release it, or they're
Mhm.
secretly getting off on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's something about getting attention, even if it's negative. So bless them all. Health is a result of the four pillars of health that are brought together. Their client has to achieve to produce permanent well-being. People who are miserable or self-destructive have much more work to do on themselves than people who are grateful and joyous. Self-motivated people do really well with Orin therapy. And that's the turning point. That's the defining moment for people when they finally decide to take matters in their own hands, take responsibility, and dig in and do the work. Those are the ones that bring joy to my heart, because they get their life back and they get their body and their mind back, and all the things they've had to endure over all those years, no matter what they put themselves through, whether it's diet, drugs, abuse, they're done with it. So this is what this chapter is all about. I actually wrote a article that was published in 2006 that is applicable here. The name of the article, I can get it for you if you ever want to read it.
Absolutely.
Your sacred living foods, your spiritual path, and your Shivambu. I added that recently. Your spiritual path, your sacred living foods, and your Shivambu will not save you from your mind. So you can do all the, quote, right things and still have misery and suffering in your soul and in your unconscious, and that'll kill you. So it's a good idea to clean up the basement, take out the trash, do a belief system enema. Clean out the shit. All right, so that's why that article has been floating around for like how many years? It's still applicable today, because in there I was moving toward physical immortality. If you have an unconscious death wish, which means there's self-hatred, self-destruction, all that stuff, this is what sucks the joy out of people and kills them. So without that, the quality of life just raises dramatically.
I agree.
And
I've experienced that firsthand.
Yeah, you've been around a few times. I was there. I was suicidal in college. I had to get my head on straight, and then I finally got on the path, and everything came in. I had to learn. Here's a teacher, here's a guru, here's an article, here's a way of living, and I haven't stopped learning since. I know there was more in life, but what the world taught me and my family, religion, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
So I walked away as soon as I can. I walked away from Judaism when I was 18. I'm going, these are all hypocrites. They don't even pay attention to their teacher. And I walked out of the synagogue, the church, and going, I don't know what this is, but it ain't my thing. Forget it. And I know I could do that at 18. I could say no. I never consented to be a religion. All right, I ranted. Thank you for that. So Shivambu is a gift of health. The human body requires all four of these to be in balance, to work at its optimum. Illness can occur when a person is either only focusing on some, but not all of these aspects of health and well-being. We know rich people who are miserable. We know people who eat all the right things that are unhappy. We have people who meditate and practice, but they haven't worked on their emotions from their whole life, so their energy is stuck and they're sick. So you got to look at everything. You can't hide it under the rug anymore.
Emotion, energy in motion.
Good point. A normal pH is within the range of 6 to 7, with an average of 6.2. A diet high in protein with meat and dairy, cooked food, we'll just throw in gluten food, processed, altered food, alcohol, caffeine, and drugs will not only lower the pH into the acid state, it will also increase the amount of mucus and inflammation in the body. So the people who are dealing with itis of any kind, arthritis, bursitis, appendicitis, prostatitis, whatever the situs is, it's inflammation. You knew this stuff, right?
Yep, and parasites also thrive in mucus too. So, there's that.
Feed them.
No.
Don't feed them. No, let them go find something else, some other source. By the way, I was reminded that one of the ways people get parasites in their body is pets,
Mhm.
right? Food, and walking barefoot, which I do 99% of my day, every day. So I'm going, what? You too?
Yep.
All right.
Especially like, well, not when I was living in Wisconsin because we had like no grass. But I mean, I would still like walk barefoot on the concrete, but like outside, like it's all dirt, it's all sand, it's all grass all the
Plants.
time.
Yeah. And that's beautiful because every time you step on it, it squeezes out the essential oil from the plant, and that gets driven into your feet.
Mm,
So you get all the nutrients and the vibes from that's what grounding is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Barefoot people. Woo! Simply drinking and applying Orin will bring results, yet at a much slower pace when the body has to constantly do house cleaning from poor diet, lifestyle choices, which is causing obstruction to vitality, strength, and energy. Orin therapy is 100 times more therapeutic as you move closer to a living plant food, plant-based diet. Anyone going into transitional diet changes on the way to thriving on living plant foods, adding these will boost overall healing. So consider including looping or drinking more Orin daily, frequent Orin enemas, fasting on Orin massages, and saturation dosing, along with much needed rest. I just threw out a word. Have you heard of looping?
Yep, I do it daily.
Okay. Do you know the difference between looping and, oh, let me join you.
It's
Ding.
refilled.
Cyber toast. Sip looping.
No, I didn't quite understand the difference between that what that was.
Well, you're going to learn it in the protocol section. And just briefly, what sip looping is every time you collect, you pee and you collect, you take a sip, you save the rest.
Oh, okay.
Just like a
Simple enough.
shot. And
Ah,
this is like time release nutrition,
there you go.
right? So if you let's see, if you pee and collect 6 to 8 times during the day, that's 6 to 8 doses. When making inquiries with client, we're down there. Changes in much needed sessions. Okay. Any questions?
Not so far.
All right. So the body mind connection, the reason you want to pound these into your brain, all of this stuff, so you're equipped when someone comes into your life and they say, I heard about Orin therapy. Do you know anything about it? Can you tell me? Can you guide me? Can you instruct me? And when you have your confidence and your certainty down, you can say yes.
Mhm.
Get to work. Get your jar, roll up your sleeves. We got work to do. So the body mind connection is important to bring that up in the conversation so people don't think it's just a simple thing where you just drink it and go on with your life.
Mhm.
Because most people are generally lazy and they want the shortcut.
You don't say.
Yeah, you know this, huh? We want the shortcut, and I tried that for years until I learned that you can just do a direct route. You don't have to like be sneaky and find other ways to make things happen. You just go directly through it. You go direct into your fear, you go direct into your joy, you go direct into your challenges, and things work out.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Amen. Let's go back in time. Get into the DeLorean. We're going back to the future. We're
All
going.
right.
Can I ask you what your age is?
39.
39. Okay.
I mean, immortal actually, but I was born into this avatar in 1985.
That's when you got your soul suit. The reason I ask is sometimes I throw references to books, movies, music, and I never know what genre or what age group someone's in. And they go, oh, yeah, I totally remember the Doobies. Oh, yeah. I was a fan of the Beach Boys. Okay. All right. Or
No,
whoever.
no, no, that part. I do know Back to the Future though. We actually just recently rewatched that with the kids. So
Oh, did you do just one or all the series?
I think we did all of them. My husband is like a huge movie buff, so he's yeah. Any movie you bring up, he'll probably know it.
Okay, well, if he ever wants to talk about the matrix, I'm in. I'm all in.
Yep.
So we're going to go back to where this all started. And I'm going to go without the book and just go from notes. They tend to accredit urine therapy starting with Shiva. A lot of people say, well, Shiva got started because the most well-known and most well-known book on the subject is the Damar Tantra, which was a sacred text that came out 5,000 years ago. So the Hindu.
That pulled up too.
Are you asking me something? You're talking to your
No, I
phone.
was saying I just had that pulled up. I was just looking at it. Just there we go.
It's
Just
Damar
before.
Tantra. So here's the interesting thing about things that are written down on our planet, things that have been documented. So according to the Hindus, it was 5,000 years ago. But according to the history of humanity, it started when we first started discovering it. And it could have been, you know, the first girl born on the planet got it from her mom, and she learned it, and she told her kids, and it got spread around, and then Shiva figured it out. I have no idea. But not everything was written down in our human history. But according to the Damar Tantra, this is where it all started. Okay. And Damar Tantra is a lovely story about how Shiva, well, the way I see it, Shiva, his wife one day wanted to out him. She wanted to call him out. She says, Shiva, how come you don't age? How come you're still as handsome as the day I met you? How come you're still strong and powerful and sexy? What's your secret? He says, drink of yourself and live. So he lays out this 9-year program about using Orin, what vessels to collect it in, whether it's brass or copper or gold or made out of clay or a plant or coconut bowl, whatever. He lays it all out in a 9-year program, not only how to heal every possible condition, and at the end of the 9 years, achieve physical immortality. Yay, Shiva. So this has been the landmark timeline for people to think, well, this is where it started. But, you know, we've got people all over the planet. And it could have been like the 100th monkey. Someone drank their pee in Indonesia, and next thing you know, someone in Africa is drinking their pee. Who knows? But it's been around, and it's in stories, it's in myths, it's in legends, it's old wives' tales. It's amazing how many cultures will come forward and say, I just remembered this, and my mom would wipe my face with my soiled diaper when I was a baby, when I was a 2-year-old, and she knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this stuff is passed down generation to generation, but we don't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Hawaii, they know that if you're stung by a jellyfish,
Pee on it.
you pee on it.
Get bit by a venomous snake, pee on or drink the pee.
On it. Yeah. And for some reason, they think that's the exception. Oh, well, they'll learn what they learn. So here's a little bit of, we're going to romp through history and touch some of the highlights as we go here, so you can hear some of where this came from. Okay, that's the kind of timing we've got here. Okay, let's go back to the multiple names of Orin. Urine, Orin. In England, they call it we. I got to wait. I'm going out back. I got we. In Spanish-speaking countries, they call it urina or orina.
Orina.
O-R-I-N-A. In Nigeria, the word is I-T-O, ito.
Okay.
In Botswana, there's one of my lovely sisters out there, Stampana. She says they call it U juice. I said, what does that mean? She says it's your juice. It's your juice. All right. And India, Dr. Rajak Malhotra, who's been doing this for 55 years, he gets accredited with calling it Loda Cola. I honor the brother. He's been at this a lot longer than me. Here in America, I call it OJ, or orange juice. In Hawaii, they call it M-I-M-I, Mimi. Of course, some of the girls who are a little shy, they go, I got to go shishi out back. I'm going to go shishi. But we know what they're talking about. So there's all kinds of different ways people will name this. Let's go back to the 1400s. The Aztecs were known to use urine to heal wounds. 1400s. In the 1500s, there was a sea captain by the name of Magellan, and he circumvented the globe, unless you're a flat earther. He circumvented the globe, and he told his crew, don't drink the seawater, drink your pee. Isn't that amazing? Sailors know this stuff. In 1536, there was an Egyptian medical text that held over 50 formulas and remedies that included urine. In 1611, and I sent you some of these Bible verses, probably more than you need. But every now and then you come across a Christian who's not sure that you're crazy or you're in a cult or what. And you say, well, it's in the Bible. Drink of your own cistern and out of you will pour a living fountain of life. And so there's all these quotes that show up in the Bible, and the people who concede that it's more than a metaphor or a parable, that they're talking about urine drinking in the Bible. So this is a great thing that you can show people if they need that kind of understanding. Oh, it's in your holy book. It's got to be okay. So this came out when the whatever third interpretation of the Bible came about with King James. Whether he was a good guy or not, I'm not sure. Hard to say. Bring back the Book of Enoch, please.
Yeah, I haven't read the Bible yet. I have a couple versions, but my goal is, if I'm going to read it, I want to read as close to the original as possible. So
yes. And study the earlier versions of Genesis, because Genesis talks about the immortals when people lived thousands of years, right? And it was commonplace that they lived tens of thousands of years before King James showed up and started teaching people that you lose years every year. So these guys would live thousands, and then 900, and so begat so-and-so who lived 800, and they kept decreasing our age span in that book. Shame on. All right, so in 1695, the Solomon's English Physician's book talked about using urine therapy. In 1806, Lewis and Clark, on their search for resources and land across the United States, they noticed Native Americans bathing in their urine. The mothers were bathing their children, and men were out there massaging their bodies, and that's where he learned about it, these two guys. In 1890, there was a book called 1,000 Notable Things that called urine an universal and excellent remedy. In the 1917, the Rockefellers showed up and changed everything. I won't go into that at this time. In 1930s, the professor of France wrote about sex gland hormones in urine. It was in 1944 that John W. Armstrong, who was a naturopath and not a doctor, released the Water of Life book, which became a standard go-to book on urine therapy in 1944. And he healed thousands of people, including blind people, doing a 100-day urine fast. Now, Dr. Sebi, have you heard of him?
I believe so.
Naturopath from Jamaica.
Maybe. I don't know. I read a whole bunch of stuff like when I first started. So
Okay, well, he was doing urine therapy and he was doing eye rinses, and he ends up going blind for 3 days. And without panicking, he kept doing eye washes and eye rinses. And after 3 days, his eyes cleared up, but his vision was better than ever. And what he discovered is the brain can release mucus over the eyes.
Okay, yeah, yeah, Dr. Tubby. Okay, yeah.
He talks a lot about self-healing. He talks about Irish moss. He talks
Yep.
about all these. Yeah, that's Dr. Sebi.
Okay.
And nobody quite yet figured out how he died. So that's another
Mhm.
controversial conversation. And then in 1963, the Manav Mudra shows up out of India. That was one of their newest books. 1971, NASA puts out that there are 3,000 components in urine. And in the 1940s, things started changing. I mean, 1994, all of a sudden you've got the Water of Life book came out in 1944. In 1994 comes your body's perfect medicine, Martha Christie. Beatrice Barnett shows up. Martin Lohr shows up with the urotherapy book. And then fast forward to 2018, I showed up on the scene because I noticed all the books. First of all, there was nobody to get support from in 1994 when I started this journey. It was just me and books. My wife thought I had an interesting hobby and had no interest in it. And I did not have the confidence and certainty I have now, or I could have saved her from cancer.
Mhm.
I just didn't know what I know now.
Mhm.
But what ends up happening is that fast forward to 2017, I discovered social media was going crazy with this movement on urine therapy, and there was 24 groups in Facebook, Instagram, and I get this download. Here comes a manuscript called The Healing Water from Within, and that gets published in 2018. 2 weeks later, I'm at a convention in Las Vegas at a book signing table up on the stage. Within 30 days, I'm on 30 radio shows, television shows. My whole career flipped around from wellness practitioner to being the voice for urine therapy, and it's been nonstop for 7 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
I love this job. It's a great job. I get paid to talk about pee. Who figured? I mean, when you're 20, you're going, I'm going to grow up and be a pee talking guy. I'm not. So 1994 was the latest version. And what inspired me to write my books, Keegan, is nobody addressed the emotional counterpart.
Mhm.
Nobody addressed the psychological shifts and changes and you have to adapt in order to receive this as a possibility in the first place. So I brought in a lot of different components, and that's what made up the book, and then threw in jokes. So that's kind of a wrap up of the history of urine therapy up until now. Right now, it's so exciting to be in urine in this movement right now. Not so much as that, you're going through your own liberation. You're going through your own salvation, your own cleansing, and you're going to see layers and layers of you go by the wayside.
Mhm.
Right. And this new light soul is going to show up, and this new power warrior woman is going to show up. And you go, I can take this on now. I got it. I got it together. And you're probably experiencing that now. I mean, there are things you're doing now you never thought you would have been doing.
Yeah, I can definitely say 2 years ago I didn't think I would be sitting in Costa Rica. So
Yeah. And you ain't seen nothing yet.
nope, best is yet to come.
So in the world scene right now, we've got a structure that our organization put together. We put the water urine therapy directory at brothersage.com. You can find out who's who and what teachers live in what country and how to contact people and how to direct people if someone lives in a state or somewhere else and they're looking for a therapist. Right? We put together the Shiva Lifestyle Store, so you get all your one-stop shopping in. We put together the Shivambu Hut, which is the social media platform, members only. We've got like 1,350 members right now. Did you join that?
I did not yet. I'll have to hop on that.
You go to shivambu.com. No, shivambu.org, excuse me. And spell it the old Hindu traditional way, which is shivambu.org. And you'll find a link to the Shivambu Hut, HUT. We're still offering, after 5 years, free membership. So you get to enjoy everyone's content.
So I'm on the one Telegram group, the UT family. I'm in there quite a bit. So
Oh, okay. Oh, the UT family, have you discovered urine therapy does a body good?
nope, I don't think I looked at that one.
Okay. I'm the admin. I put that together as soon as I discovered Telegram. It's called Urine Therapy Does a Body Good.
That's my list.
And so all these things have been happening and are continually, what always amazes me is there's always a new generation of people in this practice who discovered something, researched something, found out something that I never heard of, and I'm learning from them.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's, coming up with wonderful discoveries and helping out this movement in general.
It's amazing. I love that there's no gatekeeping and
Oh,
weird stuff like that.
no. And what I tend to think is that we're protected. I mean, for myself, I'm out in the public a lot, and there are some people who have their lives been ruined, reputation shot, them taken out, and I've never felt any kind of threat to me. And so maybe I should just stay with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Why do you think I moved to Hawaii? Okay. You guys keep all that out of the ocean, just way far away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you ever tell me what got you started
Um,
this practice? When did you take your first drink and what was your inspiration? And did you have to go through a disgust factor?
a little bit. And then I kind of just dove headfirst into it, and I very quickly realized, like, obviously what I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body and all the other factors like affected it. So I was able to very quickly, like, kind of, change my mindset and also change like the physical properties of it pretty easily. I want to say you brought up Jonathan Otto earlier. There was something that he had put out a while ago that was like a series of things, and there was like a small, because it was like clips of like the whole interviews that he had done with people, and so
Yeah.
I'd started watching those clips, and there was something like he was into it, and then his wife had shared like her story about how he got her into it, and then so I started kind of researching more onto that. Read a ton of stuff before I ever even started, because I'm the kind of person, like, I will dive headfirst into all of the research, read all of the books, do all that kind of stuff, and then like guinea pig myself.
Good.
And then I started following Tim because I'd always heard of like the breatharian movement and stuff, and I was like, well, how does that actually work? Like, how are you just surviving off the sun? Um, and then I had started following Tim and like all of his immortality stuff, and I jumped into his Patreon for a while, and it just kind of spiraled from there.
Okay. Thank you for that. So you think you'll ever quit?
No,
No, thank you. Don't go
because
there.
I choose to continue to regenerate and not degenerate.
Thank you. And as you keep doing this, you're going to keep recharging.
Mm-hmm.
How does diet affect color, smell, taste? Page 24. Page 24. I might have gone into this, but no, I did not
Oh,
read
and
it.
I did also, I forgot to mention, I did also take Dr. Group's course on it as well, like before I really started, like, really, like, I was like, just kind of sipping
Dabbling.
here and there. And then I think after that was kind of when I was like, all right, I feel comfortable enough in myself and my knowledge to really, like, to really dive into it. So great
Yay.
course.
Good. Yeah. Him and I are working on projects. So yeah, I love that brother. He's done a lot for our movement. Okay, what am I aiming for? Good credit, the best submarine I ever had. Okay, so we've kind of gone over that. The question here is, how does the diet affect the color, the smell, the taste of the ore? And we kind of went over that.
Mhm.
You can detect it. I mean, there was a while I was eating Himalayan crystal salt and I would taste it the next day. And someone said, well, maybe you need to change to Norway, Celtic salt, this salt, the other salt. It was overwhelming the salty taste the next day. And then I discovered that none of these rock salts were really right for
Mhm.
humanity, much less me. And so I'm not adding salt anymore. If anything, I'll get it from seaweeds, dulse, nori, kelp, Get it from sea asparagus, which is also known as green salt. And I don't taste it anymore. I don't
Yeah,
taste salt.
nice.
Yeah. And then if you don't have the salts to contend with, you won't get swelling in your body anywhere, and you won't have, won't get dehydrated.
Mhm.
Nice. Protocols. Oral looping body. How does it affect body mind? We've gone over the body mind connection. Any questions about that?
Nope.
No. Can you recall any of the Shivambu wisdoms without looking?
Oh, can't look at my notes.
You can.
Um,
Okay.
the alchemist. Close it up. The alchemizing, transforming anything it touches. That one really stands out to me for some reason. Been into studying different things with alchemy, and like I brought up the philosopher's stone earlier, and how that from everything that I've read and studied on it, like the more it has to go through like the certain stages, like it goes through like the black uh the technical name of it, because they're like the black sage, and then which also the philosopher's stone is actually made from pea, in case anybody's wondering.
Mhm.
um and I don't know, I just kind of keep coming back and coming back around to that, and how that uh kind of like urine therapy and the philosopher's stone seem to very much like mirror each other in like the processes. So
Okay. So, Ormus gold is what some of the people like Dr. Hansen had discovered from drying it out in a baking dish out in the sun. It turned into a white
oh,
crystalline powder, and she brought it to the convention, and we all got to look at it and feel it. And she said, this is what the alchemists were aiming for, was to convert base metal, base objects into gold. Well, in the last year, somebody brought to my attention is they discovered gold molecules in urine. They discovered in the sacred cows of India, and they discovered in humans. There's elements and molecules of gold in us, which helps explain the gold color water. So if you stretch your imagination, you might say, that's our inheritance. That's our treasures.
hmm,
That's why I like to call us the Goldens.
hmm, I love it.
And the
I did
golden,
see in one of the in the telegram that there was a guy that had some in a jar, and he's like, "This looks like gold flakes in here," and I was like, "Ah, save it."
yeah,
So can
Deb,
you? Is there things that you can? Because I guess I had thought about that before, like as I'm like straining, like when it kind of gathers the sediment and the stuff at the bottom, as I'm straining things out, like can I use that for something else? Like,
yeah, yeah. If you're getting a hit on that, you're probably into something. You might follow through on that.
hmm, hmm.
That's how these
I
things get discovered.
so when we were at our old house and I was like preparing for my first Orin bath, I had like saved like a 5 gallon, it was a plastic bucket, but I had saved like a 5 gallon bucket, and it would just kind of sat there for a while. And when
Yep.
I emptied it, the whole inside of the bucket was had like tiny crystals like all around the inside of it. And I was just amazed. I was like, whoa.
Did you save it? Did you scrape it off? Did you collect it?
I didn't know, but I'm gonna try that with some other things here. So I do plan on making my own earthen pots when I have my little pottery thing set up. So I have a kiln. I just don't have a house to put it in yet.
Well, you'll pull it together.
Oh yes.
Um, no more questions there. No more questions there. What I'm going to do is turn off the recording. Here's the last two pieces of items you may want to know about. Whether you get them or not is up to you. The first thing is plastic shoes.
Those are fantastic.
Look what's on the bottom.
Little
Reflect.
reflexology points.
Yeah. So if you ever get these, make sure you get the right gender and the right size so that your foot actually fits in there. And then you can either place this inside the bathtub. So, slosh anything, or, if you're walking around the house, no telling what'll happen, but that's it. Portable foot soak.
Nice.
All right, the other item, which we have at the store, is the Shiva koozie.
Oh, yes.
Oh, look what's on the bottom.
Nice. More
There's the
reflexive.
pumps again. So you know what to do with that. It's a whole lot of fun to spend 30 minutes with your feet all bubbly with urine.
Mm,
So $2 at a garage sale. Who knew?
sweet.
So keep an eye out. You don't have garage sales in your part of the woods, do you?
I have no idea. We haven't really been many places yet because we don't have a car until like Monday. So
Oh, can you car share with people?
uh